Alright, it's time to move the conflict up to war, and let me start immediately by saying something. I kind of wish the title was slightly different. As it is, it's technically fine, but I think it would have worked better as War for Mordor, because it fits better with the themes, and it still maintains the Mordor type, in the title properly. Shadow War sounds a bit too generic for what they want to do.
I see
Again,
this one
it
also
was a
has...
single marketing choice. Also, I'm just showcasing here. This game, while not really nowhere near compared to the ones that Sony and Microsoft are doing these days, has at least a bunch of different accessibility options when it comes to customize your HUD. Like you want to show particular hints, your minimap, your compass, for the sake of the only thing that I will not turn it off is the rotate minimap, because I really cannot stand it in games in general. It stands to me like what vibration stands to Pedro.
Well, finish and I'll.
But yeah, otherwise you can still have a lot variety of options, which for a game released in 2017 was still quite a lot. Like I wouldn't have expected that to happen. But yes, Pedro.
Well, I'd like to make it clear that my thing with vibration controllers pre-DualSense, my problem with that is that it's just one vibrating bit in the center of the control, and it just vibrates the exact same way every single time.
All right, this game also has a bunch of different difficulties, including, super hard, like called Grey Walker and Brutal, which is heaven or hell from Devil May Cry, in everything dies in one hit, including you. For the sake of a playthrough, I'll just play on normal difficulty and see what happens, but again, it's recommended most if you play on normal anyway.
In an ideal situation, normal is often supposed to
be. Story
so far.
Okay. Welcome to Middle-earth Shadow of War. The story so far.
A bunch of years have passed since the first game, so a recap, to catch up with everyone.
My family is dead.
Jesus Christ! The Steve story is dark as shit.
Although I will give him credit, it does look better rendered here. I mean, obviously, now that they're using a new engine.
That's the thing, Joe. At least on PS4, recently they even had an extra, completely free DLC add-on in case you want these cutscenes presented in 4K. So if you want, you can have them. It's just for that, though. Again, it's just random.
Is it like a PS5 patch or something?
I don't know if it's mentioned in the text.
Yes,
I don't know. No, it specifically mentions cutscenes in 4K. So again, the idea just replaces the video files.
I wonder. I mean, I guess
you might as well update the game to run at 4K 60 on the 5 while you're at it.
Given that the last game was starting off on stuff like 7th gen and this is an 8th gen game, I guess that, the uptick in visuals does make sense.
Oh, it does. It's just that, while you're at it, you might as well put it up to run at 60 on the PS5 while you're at it.
Alright, and now we're caught up. Celebrimbor wanted Talion to, potentially to just give up and, leave Vidor to sort things out. But instead, Talion decided to have this awful, wonderful idea, wanted to forge what's in the prologue, the new ring.
I'm sure the
uncorrupted, one without the soul of Sauron infused, the one that will answer only to us. More on this girl later.
Is ending.
Where have I heard that before in the Lord of the Rings verse?
Yeah, this is actually technically a dark reprise of Galadriel's initial narration from the Fellowship of the Ring.
I was actually about to ask, is this Galadriel's evil sister or something?
We will see just who that woman is soon enough.
It's Galadriel's twin sister, Madriel.
Bound together in death.
So yeah, apparently Sauron's forces completely not noticed this guy just, hammering, like a literal smith inside Mount Doom to do this shit.
Huh. Super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Unfortunately, however, someone or something snatched Celebrimbor away, and Talion was once again about to die.
Death calls to you again, Rain.
Fuck's sake. Also, that gear which we're showing, that's equipment that they're showing, their armor and everything that's showing on Talion, that ideally is supposed to what they said what he had in the first game, but it's really not.
Yeah,
It
no.
has different texture, and you will see just in a second. The clothing is colored red instead of green and brown.
Yeah, like, just say he got a different outfit.
It's sad because this will be important slightly for when it comes to the story as the game goes on, but again, they just really couldn't change it. I mean, yes, they changed the engine, and as such, the models look slightly different, but you know, they could have stayed consistent with the armor.
Like, unless that is legit what the model was supposed to look like,
No,
and
because
somehow...
they showed the cutscenes of Shadow Mordor, and the outfit is correct in that one.
Huh. What, did they suggest that it turned red over the years or something?
So,
Jesus.
here's story-wise our major next gimmick. Even without Celebrimbor, just by wielding the power of the ring, Talion can survive.
Ah. So I guess this means that Talion is finally free of Celebrimbor's influence.
Well, he still needs him, because the power of the ring alone is not enough. He needs both Celebrimbor. Yeah, he needs both Celebrimbor and the ring at the same time if he wants to wage war.
So how much is this gonna confuse Gollum when he finds out that there are now two Preciouses
you will
out
see.
there?
You will see soon enough. Well, not much.
My
But
precious.
following what the voice did told Talion, he literally crossed some of the mountains of Mordor and reached one of its southern regions, Kiritungol.
Bob.
Oh.
Imagine someone in this universe just called Bob.
This is gonna serve for us as our tutorial level in case, you know, someone might have forgotten the mechanics of the game. Or, you know, they still need to learn a new thing or two. Because like I said, while almost identical, there are a couple of things that are, you know, tweaked in order to make the experience a bit interesting.
I will find you.
How romantic.
Most of the controls still remain a bit the same. So, you know, crouch with R2, square with step for stealth kill, you know, triangle for brutalize, that kind of stuff.
Also, we must defeat her. Do you even know who she is, my dude?
Well, it's Celebrimbor telling that to Talion, so it seems that Celebrimbor knows who or what has kidnapped him. So...
How romantic. Talion's off to save his one true companion, a dickhead ghost.
Well, what other choices does he have?
I mean, he could have passed on into the afterlife, but the dude just proved stubborn enough to
that was his
not.
decision to do that. So, he seems to be committed. Like he said to Celebrimbor, he's more of a sense of duty. He was saying, would you really just go away knowing that we passed on this opportunity to get rid of Sauron forever?
Huh. Nobody tell him.
Again, that's part of this game. We will need to learn exactly how we get from point A to point B still. Like I said, interpose are a bit of a fickle thing because a lot of time they can just be easily summed up on, by the way, this happened, you know, and nothing of value was really learned or there was no entertainment value into it, you know. So it can be a bit risky, but other times, you know, it can be just, you know, a fun ride to have and a chance, for example, to expand a bit characters who might have not, you know, been present that much when they did show up in present events.
Like, I'll give these games credit so far from what I've seen. They at least do a good enough job pulling off a threat that even if we know it's obviously not going to be the final threat, it at least does have a good sense of stakes.
That being said, this game in particular also pulled a bit the rope onto, you know, establishing more that this is an alternate continuity, and we will soon see why. You know, with a couple of examples that a part of the fan base particularly was not super fan of.
That is weird because honestly, for the most part, this game has felt like it could fit into the universe of the movies just fine.
Again, we shall see in due time. Don't worry. But since we are in Kiritungol, you kind of have to already have guessed where are we going for now.
Celebrimbor, what has been done to you?
Yeah?
does not fall for this prey, Ranger.
Shodan, where are you?
Nothing as a dirty
Oh,
It's
hey!
Shelob. Like I said, she's not just a giant spider, she's basically an eldritch abomination. And
Oh.
she can turn into a sexy woman.
Why didn't you do that before? You would have been a lot more appealing to the eyes.
Now, it's worth noting. Well, okay, I'm wait until the cutscene is over, actually.
Now,
The end of the part is more important.
So she's a literal Black Widow.
Potentially, but she has her own agenda, as you can imagine.
So weird, because in this land, usually she was the only giant spider we saw, but here we see, I guess,
But it is not
smaller spiders.
Well,
Like-
those are her progeny.
Of course. So where were they in the movies?
Extinct, like the previous game also mentioned, the orcs are not in good terms with her.
Go figure.
not everything. Not yet.
So I'm guessing the human form is for her to communicate with people. Oh, she
And
wants
she
the
wants
ring.
her. This is a nod to the Silmarillion because Shadow's mother, Ungoliant, loved to just eat magical artifacts. Like, not even a case of possessing, just eat them.
And I do.
She wants to eat the ring.
Or she at least, in their case, just harness the power of it.
I'm
You
not
will learn
s-
what their motivations are soon enough too.
So is this the form she's pretty much gonna be having for the duration of this game?
Most of the game, yes.
Well, I think, well, there is something a bit new in this game. Troy Baker, in addition to being Talion, is the performance capture director of this game.
Let's see.
That will explain also why his model actually resembles him a bit more too.
So who voices Shelob?
And a celebrity, I forgot, I will check in between parts. Oh, right, that happens. You probably should have waited a bit, Talion.
I'm impressed, Ranger. It must mean something to you
Oh, let me guess. She made the human form just so she'd be able to put the ring on.
before he dies.
Probably too.
have doomed us, Talion. Her power was vast before, and now you have given her mine. I poured my life force into that ring.
And again, since Celebrimbor poured most of his power into the ring, our game. The game is justifying that we're back to square one.
I just want to remind you, though, that this oh-so powerful force will be defeated by a small hobbit
hobbit.
boy.
The war you came to fight is not here. The ring is lost. So look to Minas.
Also cute. Her dress looks a bit like a spider web.
Yeah, it's funny.
To the Palantir.
A lot of people really did not like this particular, even reviewers online. And I can kind of understand why, but again, just 1 second, because unfortunately, Shadow can grant, Vector Power can grant small visions, and one of them showcased the fact that the city of Minas Ithil is currently under siege badly at that. So we kind of need to intervene.
Oh dear.
Boo.
Minas Ithil. I must know if Shelob's vision holds true.
That's what we will technically
bye.
find. That's what we will technically find in the next part. But before we go, again, this did not really please a lot of people who just, potentially lambasted the game for providing a bit of cheap fan service, and I can kind of agree. It's worth noting again, though, that again, due to her being progeny of Ungoliant, this is technically something that Shelob can do. It's understandable that it would be reasonable to be done with her powers, but it feels more like a case of the developers just chose to do this for the loots and to be more convenient than anything.
Well, I do have something. Well, I do have something to say.
Yeah, well, I tag him. Go on.
It's something similar happened with Phantom Pain, because in that game, Troy Baker played Ocelot, and yeah, Ocelot's face definitely looks more akin to Troy Baker's face, so something similar happened there. And as for what I was trying to say earlier, no, the thing is, my thing with vibration in controllers is that it's just one sensor in the center of the controller, and it always vibrates the exact same way, and that's it.
Sorry, well,
Whereas with something like the DualSense, where there's sensors all over the controller, and they vibrate differently depending on what's going on in the game. So for me, vibration in controllers didn't get good until the DualSense. But that's
All right. Before no, hold on. Before we end the part, Dweebs,
yeah.
I gave you something since you're the closest of what maybe Tolkien would have sounded, in terms of Britishness. Do you mind reading it? It's a quote of sorts.
Oh, this ought to be
Here we
funny.
go. Christopher, my son, did I ever tell you the full story of Shelob? You know, the monstrous spider, descendant of the vile Ungoliant, which I used to read aloud of in our Oxford meetings of the Inklings. But what I didn't mention about them was Shelob could also transform into a totally hot babe, all pale and dark and one, like Rebecca and Ivanhoe, or what will later become to be known as the goth subculture. In fact, she looked very much like the pornographic actress Stoya, who will be born 13 years after I die. Christopher, I will be entrusting you with my estate. If there ever is a video game adaptation of my work, you must make sure they get this Shelob right. Make sure she is what the Anglo-Saxons would have called a...
I don't know how to pronounce it, Dweebs.
actually, a real sexy bitch.
Needless to say, copy pasta bullshit stories like this of Tolkien always wanting this being totally his vision popped up as soon as the game showed up just for the lols, and it's a bit hilarious. But anyway, see you eventually for the next part when Talion and Celebrimbor have to deal with what the situation they have, as in the new rings where they just forged is fucked in the hands of a giant spider sexy lady.
What's actually just made me to wonder, what is Shelob in the story? Is she an ally, an antagonist?
Well, that's what we will need to find out. Again, she has essentially her own agenda, but still, Celebrimbor and Talion will have to travel instead to Minas Ithil and trying to see if the vision has come to pass, or are they still in time to break the siege that is, gripping the city. See ya.
See ya.